Hey guys, I'd like to welcome everyone to another segment. This is going to be based around Arsenal and kind of what they can look for in the transfer market this winter, I guess. For many of you who follow soccer, you know that the winter transfer market usually starts in January 1st, and comes to a conclusion sometime in February. So sometimes it's February 1st, sometimes it's 2nd, 5th, whatever it may be. This season, of course, Mesut Ozil has left the club, and Emil Smith-Rowe has kind of taken over as the number 10 now. So he's the attacking midfielder. He's the creative player. He's the guy who gets everyone involved. He's the guy who gets the assists. And basically everything runs through him in this point in time, now that Mesut Ozil is gone. For the fans who know, apart from Emil Smith-Rowe, there is no other attacking midfielder on this team, or at least not someone who can take the game over and produce for the strikers such as Aubameyang and Lacazette and create chances, especially with Ozil gone. And all the best to Ozil and Fenerbahce. Wish him all the best there, and it's the club that he's supported at since he's been a kid. So good for him for going there, and I hope he achieves all his dreams and wins a lot of silverware. So there has been a lot of talk about who can kind of step in and come into the club at Arsenal and kind of give the team a boost when Emil Smith-Rowe is not playing. The first thing I will say that Emil Smith-Rowe, based on what he's shown thus far in the season, in a small sample size we have, he has shown that he can be the next big number 10 at the club. There's no doubt about that. He's an exceptional player. He's still very young. So some of the targets that I'm going to throw out here, some of them I like and some of them I don't. So I'll start with Emiliano Buendia. So he plays for Norwich, which is tier 2. For those of you who follow soccer, you would know that Norwich got relegated in the last season, and he is still playing for the club in the lower tier, so it's the second tier of English football. So this season, in 21 matches, he has 7 goals and 7 assists, which is pretty darn good when you consider everything. So he doesn't play with world-class strikers on the team. So the fact that he has 7 assists says a lot about him and about his playmaking ability. So when you take a look at his numbers as a whole, in the season, he averages a goal or an assist every 124 minutes played. So that's about, when you take into consideration that an average match is 90 minutes, let's not include stoppage time just to kind of make the math a little bit easier. So every match and a half, essentially, he gets either a goal or an assist. The issue I have with this signing would be that you would be purchasing Emiliano. With Emil Smith-Rowe already at the club, and I just mentioned that I think that he's the future, I don't think spending 40 million, which is what people are reporting that Norwich wants, anywhere from 40 to 50 million euros. I think it's a lot of money to spend on him, because you do already have Emil Smith-Rowe, like I said, at the club. If this were a transfer that's a loan, then something that I would really think about, just to give kind of Emil Smith-Rowe a blow whenever he needs a quick one. And because he's not going to be able to play, every match. He's going to need some time off, and with Europa League coming and matches in the EPL come quick. So sometimes you play Wednesday, Thursday, and then either Wednesday or Thursday, and then you're back Saturday, Sunday, or Monday. And depending on what happens with Europa League, I know Europa League is on Thursdays. So depending on what happens there, I would not want Emiliano at the club if we had to purchase him, just because we do have Emil Smith-Rowe there. Another name that's been kind of linked with Arsenal lately is Martin Odegaard. So for those who know, he at 15 was we started hearing about him at the age of 15. And then he signed with Real Madrid. Hasn't really featured for Real Madrid, but he did have a really good season last year with Real Sociedad. So he featured in 31 matches, and he had 4 goals and 6 assists, which maybe aren't crazy numbers, but this was his first real coming out party, so to say. And when you consider that it's at the top tier of football, which is La Liga, the tier A soccer league in Spain, those numbers aren't that bad, and those equal to 253 minutes on the pitch. So every 253 minutes on the pitch, he gets either a goal or an assist, which isn't too crazy when you compare those numbers with what Emiliano does at Norwich. So that's another target that the club is looking at. I would welcome Odegaard on loan here. So the news broke, 2-3 days ago that he wants out of Real Madrid. So from what we know now is that he wants out. There hasn't been any talks, not that I know of, at least of permanent transfers. It's most likely going to be a loan deal. I'm kind of surprised that he hasn't featured much for Real Madrid this season because Real Madrid has struggled. And usually when a team struggles, they kind of look for the right chemistry and they'll throw in players that maybe they don't really count on. So at the start of the season, I think everyone thought that Odegaard would once again be loaned out. Or maybe he had a 2-year loan at Real Sociedad. Don't quote me on that. And I think Real Madrid bought him back. So obviously when a team of Real Madrid's stature brings you back from your loan early, that means that they're depending on you and they're kind of counting on you. And he just hasn't really lived up to the hype this season. He's 22, so he's still fairly young. But when you consider how young he was when he transferred to Real Madrid, I think a lot of people thought that he would be a world-class player by now because it's been, 5-6 years since he did come over. And obviously it would have been too much to expect him to be a part of a Real Madrid team at the age of 17, 18. They still had stars like Ronaldo, and Benzema was at the top of his game, and players like that. So maybe he didn't fit into the club right then and there. But I thought really that this season he was going to have a breakthrough and really be one of the best players for Real Madrid. But it really hasn't panned out for him. The third player I'm going to cover, and this is the third and last player at the center attacking midfield position, is Isco. So Isco hasn't featured much in the last, I would say, 2 to 3 seasons for Real Madrid. They've been looking to offload him for a while now. His best season came in, 2017-18, 49 matches. He had 9 goals and 10 assists, which is a really good record. 2016-17, 42 matches. He had 11 goals and 9 assists. So when Isco is really good, he's averaging close to double digits in both goals and assists. And he really hasn't done that. He's barely, I don't want to say barely, been in double digits when it comes to matches played, but he just hasn't played that much. And clearly Real Madrid are trying to offload him, whether that's on loan or a permanent deal. And I think that they would rather a permanent deal because they just want to get rid of him at this point. Like I said, when he's good, he's averaging double digit goals and assists. And he's just not fitting into what Real Madrid wants to do going forward. And he's been lapped by a lot of the younger players at the club. So he just doesn't really see much playing time anymore. And out of the players that I have featured, he's the oldest one. So he's 28. So that's why I say Real Madrid is most likely looking to offload him rather than loan him out. Because by the age of 28, you pretty much know what you're going to get. So Odegaard is 22. You still have a lot to look forward to. Once he receives consistent playing time, I think he will get better. Buendia is 24, so he's somewhere in between the two players there, or close to it. When he goes to a better club, a club that has maybe better strikers who have a better conversion rate, I think his game will increase a little bit more. But 40-50 million for a player, for one who plays in tier 2 football, and you also have to consider, like I said, he's coming in to just give Emil Smith-Rowe a quick breather when he needs one. Also, Emiliano can play on the wings as well. The issue with him playing on the wings is that Arsenal already has an abundance of players on the wings, such as Pepe, Willian Martinelli could play there, Reece Nelson, players like that. So I don't know if that makes sense in terms of the price tag and the amount of players that they do have at those positions. Another thing is Arsenal just spent 72 million on Pepe, and I don't know if the club would be ready to spend another 40 million on a lower tier player. And that's, I think, one of the things that the management is going to have to look upon when acquiring Buendia, if that is what they will do. So I think there are other positions of need. For example, an alternate left back for Kieran Tierney. I think another position of need would be defensive midfield and a backup goalie. So there's a lot of other positions of need that Arsenal has, and I don't know if adding another winger really solves their problems.